Shalom and welcome back to the tea table. Thanks for taking the time to join me today. I was doing my devotional this morning and it took me to Deuteronomy chapter 10 verse 12, and it says, "And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God require of you? He requires only that you fear the Lord your God and live in a way that pleases him, and love him and serve him with all your heart and soul." As I was reading that verse, I was reminded when I was a youngster living in New York, and I would ask my mom or my older brothers, "Is there anything you want me to do?" Or, "Mom, what can I do to help you?" And the results were always the same. They would tell me what to do, and I would say, "I don't want to do that. Is there something else I can do?" And they would tell me, and I would say, "Well, I don't want to do that either." To which my brothers or my mom would say, "Why are you asking me then if you have no plans on doing anything?" As a youngster, I thought it was funny. But when I became older and was teaching advanced science, some of the students would ask me if they could help me, and I thanked them and told them what to do. And I got a familiar response: "I don't want to do that." "Okay, then you can do this." "Well, I don't want to do that either." To which I would say, "Why are you bothering to ask to help me if you have no intentions of doing anything?" Maybe some of you have younger brothers or sisters, or maybe you have younger children in the house, and if you have, then you probably have heard this scenario played out more than once. You may even remember your response. Don't bother asking if you have no intention of doing anything that I ask you to do. This brings me back to the devotional found in Deuteronomy 10:12. And again, "And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God require of you? He requires only that you fear the Lord your God and live in a way that pleases him, and love him and serve him with all your heart and soul." So what do? We go before the Lord and we cry out because we do want to please God. We want to do whatever he wants us to do. And so we cry out, "God, what would you have me do?" Or, "God, what do you require of me?" And we are usually very sincere and really want to do what he wants us to do. We really want to be obedient vessels unto the Lord. So God responds and answers our cry, and his response is Deuteronomy 10:12. And the good thing is we can substitute our name for Israel. And he says, and I'm going to take the liberty of using myself as an example. And he says, "And now, Don, since you asked what I want, or what does the Lord your God require of you, he requires only that you, Don, fear the Lord your God and live in a way that pleases him, and love him and serve him with all your heart and soul." By the way, that word require also means to want and to need. So historically, our response is, "Well, I don't want to do that, but I do love you, Lord. Is there something else that I can do for you? Or is there something else that you require from me?" And the Lord tells us in John 14:15, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments." Wow, Lord, that's a lot of commandments. How about if I do the easy ones and just give the impression of really following you closely? Don't get me wrong. We all want to do exactly what the Lord requires of us, and we all know that blessings always follow obedience. The problem is, it's really hard to always do exactly what the Lord wants us to do, and so we settle for trying to do some of what he requires, or we do our best in our own strength to be obedient. The problem is, in our own strength will never be enough, because there's always a spiritual battle going on that's trying to keep us from being obedient to God, regardless of how much we really want to please God. I don't know about you, but when I say I'm going to do what the Lord requires and I fail, I usually feel pretty bad about it. And if you fail enough times, a little voice tells you to forget about trying because it's impossible to do. It's at this time that we need to realize that the Lord is there to help us with each and every step, and in our own strength, we can't do it alone anyway. If this were not true, why would he tell us in Psalms 34 verse 17, when the righteous cry out for help, the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles? You know, another word for troubles is difficulties or problems. Being obedient to God is definitely a desire for every believer, but it's also a problem because it's so difficult to walk in total obedience because of our human inabilities. So what's the solution? Well, the solution is to stop trying to walk a perfect life of obedience in your own strength. The best you can hope for is a hit-and-miss existence. But according to the Word of God and with His help, Philippians 4:13 tells us, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. Rather than saying to God, what do you want me to do, and not doing it when He tells you, because of the many obstacles coming against you, it might be better to say, Lord, help me to do what it is that you want me to do. Or, Lord, I only want what you want me to want. Personally, I've learned a long time ago not to ask God to do what He has already asked me to do, but to ask God to do what I cannot do in my own strength. Is there anything wrong in trying to walk an obedient life in your own strength? Of course not, as long as you realize that you need a helper, and Jesus is that helper in your daily walk. Remember, God would rather you fail at trying to do something to live a godly life than to be 100% successful in not trying at all. And with that, I leave you with this. Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmarecha. Ye'er Adonai panavilecha vihunecha. Yisa Adonai panavilecha ve'yesemlecha shalom. The Lord bless you and protect you. The Lord cause the light of His face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn all of His attention to you and give to you the peace of God. God bless, my friends, and I'll see you again next week at the tea table.